It's been quite the season for the New Orleans Pelicans. As things currently stand, they're 14th in the West with a record of 12-38, and they've had arguably the worst injury luck of any team in recent memory. Zion has missed 36 games, Ingram has missed 32, Herb Jones has missed 30, DeJounte's missed 19 and is out for the season. Even CJ McCollum has missed 13 games himself. But due to all of these injuries, the Pelicans have been forced to find offense through other avenues, such as through Trey Murphy III. For all of the drawbacks that have come from this Pelicans season, one of the few silver linings has been the added reps they've been forced to give Murphy, and how he's taken that opportunity to really improve as an offensive player. For a few years now, Murphy's been one of the faces of the splash and slash archetype. If you're unfamiliar with the term, that's a player who pairs high-level three-point shooting with explosive driving to really pressure defenses as an off-the-catch attacker. That means it all stems from the ability to knock down spot-up threes, and to say Murphy does that would be an understatement. This season, he's 8th in the NBA at nearly 6 catch-and-shoot three-point attempts a game, while making a very impressive 42.9% of them. If that's not a big enough sample for you, we can take it back 3 years, having attempted nearly 1,000 of these shots and hitting at about a 40% clip. The accuracy is one thing, and he's got it, though I think it's the volume that really stands out. He's a smart mover without the ball, constantly looking for opportunities to relocate along the perimeter and make himself a target, and he's 6'8" with a high release on his jumper, so even if a defender is close enough to contest, he's often completely unbothered. The icing on the cake is the range. He's comfortable catching and shooting from as far out as 30 feet, which means that he's able to really space the floor from above the break. All of these qualities make him a player who pretty much demands aggressive closeouts, and when he counters by putting the ball on the deck, that's when you'll get the slashing. He's great at reading closeout angles and has a pretty explosive first step that allows him to consistently beat his defender in these spots. Then once he creates that attack angle, he's got the length, verticality, and the touch to consistently finish over rim protectors. On the season, he's shooting over 74% at the rim, good for the 89th percentile, and that includes everything from big-time dunks to soft-touch reverse layups. In the event that he beats his man, and a shot blocker like Wembanyama is in perfect position to turn him away, he's also got the floater as a part of his arsenal, and this is also his go-to counter for when he attacks off the catch, but his own man is quick enough to stay in front of his drive and cut him off. The only thing that I really think limits his off-the-catch game is the complete lack of a mid-range jumper. On a play like this where he burns a closeout, it could be an automatic 1 or 2 dribble pull-up, but he instead tries to get to that floater. When it comes to shooting jumpers, he's pretty exclusive to the three-point line, but don't think that doesn't show up in off-the-catch situations as well. One of his go-to moves against hard closeouts is this quick 1 dribble sidestep into a jumper. Like I said though, he's great at reading closeout angles, so you'll also see some instances where he goes to the 1 dribble sidestep, sees an opening, and instead turns it into a drive on his way to the paint. This ability to play off the catch pairs beautifully with his smart movement away from the ball, because not only do relocations create open threes, they create longer closeouts, giving him even more space to attack. As a result, most of the Pelicans' offensive possessions start with Murphy spotted up 1 pass away on the wing. He's got that extended range, so by having him play from above the break, he's able to really stretch opposing defenders, making it tough to help at the nail. Defenders who do help at the nail then have to recover on those hard closeouts, and once again, that's when he'll play off the catch as a slasher. That combination of high-level shooting and explosive athleticism also makes him really dangerous in transition. When he's away from the ball, he's someone who needs to be tracked at all times, as he'll constantly hunt for openings to catch and shoot. Or he'll streak alongside the ball as a cutter, where he's looking to get above the rim for big-time finishes. It isn't just the play finishing though. I actually think he's developed into a pretty good shot creator in the open floor. Not only does he have the size and athleticism, he's good at changing directions, which allows him to create angles. And even if a defender is able to cut off his lane, he's really good at dropping the shoulder to create contact and get some separation. This is something that has really stood out this year. It seems like he got a little bit stronger, and he definitely got more comfortable initiating and playing through contact, which makes him a much more physically imposing downhill presence. But when it comes to pretty much everything else I've talked about, most of it isn't really new. Like I said, for a few years now, he's been a lethal splash and slash weapon, pairing high-level shooting with explosive driving to torch defenses off the catch. During that time, he had also been a big threat in transition, even if he sharpened up that part of his game a bit. Where the real difference in his play lies is with the way the Pelicans are actually running their set half-court offense. Because of all of the injuries, Murphy spent a lot of time operating as a number 2 or sometimes even a number 1 scoring option, which means that they're running a lot of actions designed to get him the ball. One of their go-to actions is a simple cross screen set at the top of the key, as Murphy can curl and shoot on the move. When flying off of screens like this, he's constantly making reads. If his defender overplays the catch, he can up fake for a flyby and step into a more comfortable jumper. If his defender runs him off the line and the big leaves him with space to turn the corner, he'll attack on a drive and do what he does best as a finisher. He's just so decisive and explosive, and for a backpedaling big, it's really tough to stick with that lengthy of a wing. However, I do think it's worth noting his flaws. For example, he really lacks an in-between game, so on a play like this where his defender is stuck on his hip and the big man is setting a Gortat screen, all it takes is 1 or 2 extra dribbles to get to a layup. He hasn't yet figured out those reads consistently. As a result, I think you'll see a lot of plays off of screens where it feels like he's just a touch early making a decision instead of patiently breaking down the defense. And don't get me wrong, some of these decisions turn out to be good ones. He's clearly a willing passer, and because of the pressure he brings as a slasher, he does create some opportunities for spot-up shooters. In addition to the cross screens, something else they like to run are 3-man actions. Often that means starting him on one of the elbows and having him flash out to open space on the perimeter for a jumper. Just like as a spot up though, if they go to this action and he draws a hard closeout, he's just as dangerous putting the ball on the floor. Brown plays this one perfectly, but Murphy still gets to the paint for a bucket. Every now and then you'll even see Murphy used as the screener, and again, it's all built around putting him in a spot to catch the ball on the 3-point line with space. For all of the cross screens and set plays though, I'd say more often than not, they're looking to get Murphy the ball off of handoffs. Of course, this puts him in a position to turn the corner and attack the paint, and he's really an impressive interior scorer. Remember I talked about the way he's using his shoulders to create contact? That isn't just in transition, he'll do the same thing when attacking a backpedaling big, and if he turns the corner off of a handoff but the paint is packed, he can fall back on that floater. This means that a third defender typically has to help take away the middle of the floor, and he will make that kickout pass to create a high quality spot up 3. The thing is, he's pretty limited to driving in these situations. You'll see him try some other stuff, such as on this one when he counters deep drop coverage with a step back 3, but he just isn't the same caliber of shooter off the dribble. I think this is something big to track as his game progresses, because so much more would open up for him with the addition of even just a serviceable pull-up jumper. For the time being though, that doesn't exist. This season, he's shooting below 30% on pull-up 3s, and he basically never takes pull-up 2s. Even just 33 or 34% on these shots would make a world of difference. When it comes to his on-ball game though, I think it's the handle that's most limiting. He's pretty good at beating just one defender. He doesn't always have the same luck getting past help. By virtue of being a big, lengthy wing, his handle's a little bit looser than what you'd typically see from a guard, and I think that does hurt his ability to pressure the rim, because even if he gets the step on his man, if anyone helps, he isn't comfortable taking that extra dribble through traffic, instead electing to pick the ball up and get rid of it early. This is especially noticeable whenever he's running pick and roll. He's often looking to make an instant read instead of assessing the defense and weighing his options. Take this play for example. When he turns the corner on a drive, help is gonna load up at the nail. A higher level ball handler would either take an extra dribble and force that defender to commit, or even try to sneak through the gap on a drive. He immediately kicks it to CJ without much of an advantage to attack. For this reason, I think he's slightly less effective when defenses commit more of their attention to him. He'll make the pass you want him to make, it just often comes a bit earlier than the ideal timing. With that said though, if he comes off a screen and is left with space to attack, his ability to change directions when paired with that length and touch makes him a pretty dangerous driver. That really stands out in isolation. He's got the explosive first step to beat most defenders off the dribble, and I know I said his handle's pretty loose, but it has improved a lot, and he's pretty good at setting up attacks with the right combinations of moves. The big thing to me is that he clearly processes the defense quickly. Like on this play, it looks like he's about to cross back to his left, but he notices in real time that Horford's opening up his hips to a right-hand drive, so he instead attacks in that direction for a tough finish. And although he can struggle getting around help defense with a live dribble, he's often able to get away with picking up the ball early because of those lengthy strides. I think there's a real pathway to him becoming a legit isolation option, but it has to start with developing more counters for when his first step gets cut off. Going back to what I said about the pull-up shooting, that's something he could blend really well with his explosiveness as a slasher, as he's already capable of creating space. Especially in the mid-range, even just a simple bump midi could really add another layer to his game. He's got the processing speed to make it happen, and that's why you'll see plays where you can see that he's got a move in his head, but just can't execute yet. His instincts are telling him to spin back to his right here, and he instead forces a drive left. And you can see why he didn't commit to the spin, because when he does, it's pretty clear that this just isn't in his bag yet. As of right now, basically his only counter for when his driving lanes get taken away is to drop the shoulder and create contact. And don't get me wrong, that's an awesome tool to have, playing a major role in him taking this leap. Sure, some of it comes back to just simply getting more touches, but he's literally doubled his 2-point attempts from last season up to over 7.5 per 75 possessions. The added driving, along with the way he's embraced contact, has also shown up in his free throw attempts, nearly doubling those as well, and getting to the line at a pretty respectable rate. What I find most interesting though is that even though he's increased his 2-point attempts so much, the percentage of those shots that are assisted on has also increased, suggesting that most of these attacks are coming as a result of those off-screen and off-the-catch situations, as opposed to breaking down the defense himself out of pick and roll or in isolation. To me, the biggest points of development for him are more counters for when he gets cut off as a driver, better use of pace off of screens, and most importantly, the addition of a legitimate pull-up jumper. I don't think there's a real pathway to him significantly improving his handle or passing vision, so it feels a bit far-fetched to me to say that he has potential to become a number 1 or even number 2 creator on a contender, but with some of those improvements, he really could become an efficient 25 point per game scorer, and I wouldn't be surprised. After all, he's already pretty close. This season, he's averaging 22.6 points on 62.4% true shooting, making him one of only 7 players in the league reaching both of those marks. If I were in the New Orleans front office, he'd be a top priority for my team's future. He's only 24 years old, he's already taken a few big leaps, and his playstyle is exactly what you need to coexist with a superstar, such as if Zion can ever stay healthy. The way he seamlessly picked up a larger role without any sort of dip in efficiency is a big deal, as he now looks like one of the more versatile offensive weapons in the league. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out the Hoop Venue podcast and my social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Murphy. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.